Are you looking for delicious butter cake recipe? Watch this video for my super moist and soft vanilla butter cake recipe you can quickly make for your next event. Maybe every time you make a butter cake, you are not quite satisfied with the result. Maybe the texture is not quite right, but you really don't know why. That is why I'm also sharing my 7 tips on how to make butter cake successfully without failing, so that you exactly know what to do next time. For other tutorials on how to make beautiful pastries from scratch, be sure to hit the notification bell to be notified when I post a new video every week. I have to say that butter cake is often underestimated because it is not the delicate type of dessert people think, but I think it is absolutely delicious treat that can be very moist and flavorful. Have that slice with a cup of British tea and you exactly know what I'm talking about. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Alright, so the very first step that's most important is that all the ingredients are room temperature. This is so important because you want your butter to stay super soft while it's mixed with the other ingredients to create smooth, silky butter, which leads to smooth, silky cake. And here is how soft the butter should be. Super soft. Don't forget to scrape off all the butter, stick to the paper. What I like to do with eggs when I am in rush is adding my cold eggs into warm water and let them take a bath. And here I'm adding my milk into sour cream and mix in advance. If it's still cold, you can warm it up with a microwave up to room temperature, which is not cold or warm, but maybe slightly warm, or you don't feel anything when you touch with your finger. And my second tip is to sift flour with baking powder. This is important not only because you can avoid all the lumps, but also because your flour is gonna hold more airs all around after sifted, which is gonna lead to a little bit more fluffier cake. Alright, so let's start mixing. So add your salt into butter and just mix a little bit to make sure your butter is nice and creamy. And add your sugar. And here's my third tip. Whip your butter and sugar really well. Your butter is going to contain lots of airs by doing so, and it's going to make your cake really fluffy. And also, when you add lots of liquids later on, the liquid goes into the airs while they are mixed, and it's going to allow butter and liquid to incorporate much easier. You can see it's fluffy and the color is much more pale. And my fourth tip is to clean up your bowl frequently. Every time you add ingredient or every time you wonder if it's mixed evenly, check the bottom and the side and see if there's anything left behind. Alright, so we're gonna start by adding egg. And here's my fifth tip, which is add liquid little by little and mix well each time. So butter is fat, and fat usually does not get along with liquid much, but if you add little by little, it's just easier to get incorporated. And as I mentioned as tip 4, you can see that I clean up my bowl really frequently almost every time I add something. And here, don't be afraid to mix your butter and liquid with really high speed. It's gonna allow them to incorporate very well. Alright, the butter looks nice and smooth. That's really good sign. Next, we're gonna add flour, but instead of adding all the flour at once, I like to alternate flour with the rest of liquid. You can see that I'm doing so by adding 1/3 of flour first, and then 1/3 of liquid, and after that, half of flour and a half of liquid, and at the end, the rest of flour and the rest of liquid. And since this is vanilla cake, with the rest of liquid, I added vanilla extract and dark rum because I love it. And at the end, make sure that everything is nice and smooth and the butter is complete. It is so smooth, so satisfying to watch. I can mix forever. But then here comes my 6th step, which is bake in the oven immediately after the batter is complete. That is because your baking powder has already started the chemical reaction with liquid, and if you don't bake in the oven right after, then the chemical reaction will kind of slow down, and that means that the cake is not gonna rise up as much as it should be. Make sure that the surface is nice and flat. So these are two 6 inches, and I could bake about 15 cupcakes with the rest of the butter. Just to let you know how much you can make with one batch of the recipe. And here's Lei. She noticed that the cake is in the oven and she's getting ready to eat. And my cake is done. And I'm the person who will always check with my toothpick and make sure that the center is not wet. And here is my last step, which is don't trust the baking time on your recipe. That is because each oven has different character and your baking time and temperature really vary depending on them. So I usually check about 10 minutes before what the recipe says. Also, I take it out from the oven when I feel like 95% is cooked, and the rest of the 5% is gonna get cooked after you take out from the oven with the remaining heat. Is it good? Mama made it.
Cake.
You're gonna eat cake on your birthday. Okay? The cake is so moist and so soft. It is just incredibly delicious, and I think you're gonna love it. So I would love you to try at home and let me know how it turned out for you. After it's cooled down, you can take off the pans, but this cake liner is so good, it will slide off from your pans. One more advice to you is that the cake rise up really well, so don't pour your butter too much. Yes, I did the mistake before. And here is the final look.
Now you know exactly what to do to make a perfect butter cake. I really want you to try making it at home. But isn't it a little bit sad to end here? Because you need a filling to complete your cake. That is why on next week, we are making the best buttercream that are so rich and flavorful. There are so many types of buttercream, but this one is my favorite. It is particularly called French buttercream that is often used by award-winning pastry chefs. And on next week, we are actually making the special cake using the butter cake and buttercream. It is actually for my baby's 2nd birthday, and I'm planning something really cool for her. And I'm so excited, but stay tuned. I'm going to share what that is next week. Also, if you want to know how to make the handy cake liners I used today, make sure to watch this video to see the step-by-step tutorial. It will really save your time. So if you like this video, please let me know by liking it and commenting it below, and let me know what you thought about this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.